Jew,
What?
it's your turn.
Then why you say Jew? Why you ain't just let me start my?
Okay, my bad. You want to start over? We're gonna start over.
No, we don't need to start over because I don't even know what that means.
I was gonna start over.
What do you mean start over? You gonna start the intro and the music and everything over?
Yeah, so you could do your whatever you.
No need. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So, welcome back to another edition of Pain Reality. I guess can we call it an edition?
It is. Yeah.
All right, another edition, episode, gathering. I don't know. Welcome. Hope everybody is feeling good. Hopefully, people will get to tuning in. As you know, I'm Jew. This is my lovely wife, Tia. Say hello, Tia.
So you did my introduction today?
No, I just said this is my lovely wife, Tia. Say hello.
He did my introduction today, but
oh my bad. Go ahead, Tia. Do your introduction.
I'm done.
You do your introduction.
You did it. You called me your lovely wife. That's enough.
Oh well, okay. Well, good evening. All right, so let's get right into it. So
let's get into it. Okay, sorry.
I don't know what that was, but today we're going to talk about should married people seek out advice from single people. This is very, very, very. I don't even want to say a touchy subject, but this is a. I don't know. I don't think there's a specific right or wrong answer, so to speak. Like for me, I feel like the first thing that would need to be established is, are there different labels of single? Are there different versions of being single? You know what I'm saying? So like, is your friend single, like ain't dating nobody, ain't got no prospects, ain't married, ain't engaged? Is your friend divorced or a widow or widowed or separated? You know what I'm saying? So like all of those people can be identified as single people.
Wait. So if somebody's separated, you think they single?
Well, not. I mean, they may think they're single.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
I'm saying like when we talk about labels, when people get separated, at least one of the parties most times feel like I'm single and can mingle.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So like that's just one I threw in there. I don't personally feel like you're single until you're divorced.
Correct.
But with people carrying those labels, just another thing to throw in there. So for me, I think that I can't say no. Like I can't say no, someone married should never seek advice from someone single, because just because they're single doesn't mean they can't give you advice.
Okay, so I guess my question is it specific to your marriage though? Or do you mean in general seeking advice? Or is it just about, as a married guy, would you seek out the opinion of a single guy about your marriage?
It depends on what it is though. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously you can't be like, well, like after you're done asking something, like, you know what I'm saying? Because they're single, so they can't.
But that's going to be a part of the conversation. That's just normal.
I mean, it may be, but that's the thing. I think, like, because there's some stuff that, I mean, yeah, there are some things like specific to marriage that no, a single person wouldn't be able to answer. But there's also things specific to stuff that you may go through. You know what I'm saying? Like personality wise, or like something that your spouse may do. Even if you're married, talking to a single person doesn't necessarily mean that they will have no idea on how to give advice.
So we have a comment
already.
Yes.
All right. So maybe if the people who give advice are responsible people in your circle. Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see that.
So you want my opinion?
Indeed.
Because it's pain reality, so each pain got a
opinion. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So in my opinion, To be perfectly honest, I have very few single friends at this moment in time. I think my circle actually began to change when I got married. And so now the people that are in my circle that I would seek advice from are married women. I'm not seeking married advice from a single person. I just don't think it makes sense. Now, what I will say, I can have a conversation that may involve some advice from somebody who is like divorced.
Mhm.
I could see that as being a conversation that I could have, only because that person has knowledge of marriage.
Marriage.
Yeah, they've been in that situation before. They like maybe I'm tripping and I'm throwing out the divorce word. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
And maybe this divorced person is giving me some advice that's going to help me in the thought process that I'm having concerning divorce.
Mhm.
Now, I would not go to, and although I have single friends, I would not go to my single friends and be like, I can't do it no more. I'm trying to, unless I want them to, what's the word I'm looking for? I want them to
Validate what
yes,
Okay.
validate what it is that I'm feeling
that you
and
feeling and want to
experiencing.
do.
Yeah,
Okay. And I mean, I get that. But okay, so and that's the thing. I'm not, like I said, it is definitely a thin line. You know what I'm saying? Between, hey, yeah, because I mean, think about it. Sometimes somebody may go into a marriage and have a single best friend.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, so I can't go talk to my best friend because I'm married now. And I mean, I know I know there's certain stuff that you're like, yeah, like, okay, experience wise, you're thinking about getting a divorce. No, because your single friend probably gonna be like, yeah, get the divorce so we could be single together.
You're right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But maybe they won't, maybe. But at the same time, like, does because you're single, does that mean you've never had any type of relationship experience that you can speak to?
I just feel like that's different though. My single, when I was single, okay, and then I guess it's right when you think of all the differences. Some people think as soon as they get a boyfriend or something like that, like what is your definition of single then?
Okay.
So if I had a boyfriend like pre-Jew and Tia,
yeah, definitely pre-June.
I'm single. Like although I'm in a relationship with somebody, I feel like I can still have those conversations with my single friends who's not attached to somebody.
So that's what I mean. So when somebody's engaged, are they single? In relation to a married couple seeking out one of their advice. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
That's why I said, like, the different labels of being single. Like Destiny said, divorced or widowed definitely qualifies you. And I can agree with that because you've been through, you've experienced some stuff. Like, you know, we always talk at church, like, well, if you haven't been through anything, how are you going? You know what I mean? Give advice or talk to somebody who's going through something. And I get it. I do. I just think that, like, for me, think about it. Like, if you're the type of person, if you're in the church and you seek counsel from pastors, is every pastor married?
No.
You see what I'm saying? Like, is every marriage counselor married?
So in response to that though, I think at the end of the day, I think all of this is going to depend on the person. But okay, so you know, we bringing it back to the spiritual side of it. I think that depends on what type of wisdom and discernment God has given somebody in that situation. So I would go to my single pastor to seek advice concerning my marriage because I feel like that's my like spiritual leadership, and this is who I go to when I need this type of advice. So in that context, yes, I think you should be able to do that. But I think because of the capacity that they're serving in, that's different than me going to a whole bunch of single females seeking their advice about.
Well, I mean, I ain't saying a whole bunch of them.
I mean,
I'm just
women
saying.
talk.
I know, but I'm just saying in general, like I said, like people have single friends that
Destiny said, "I'm not seeking advice from anyone who hasn't been married."
Okay.
Even a pastor, Destiny. Like I think if it's like a pastor or somebody, like if I'm comfortable enough to come be a member of your church, sow into your church, serve into your church, then I think it has to be me trusting you enough to counsel me through a rough patch in my marriage. Yes. I agree with that as well.
No, I do too. I'm not saying you just go talk to any Joe Schmo off the street. Like,
Joe.
yeah, like I'm not saying you just go talk to anybody, but my thing with it, and the reason I think it's a very thin line is because, like I said, like, okay, people, like you said, people have different mindsets when they're boyfriend, girlfriend. Some people will say, I'm single until I get married.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, even if they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they still consider themselves single.
Mm-hmm.
Even if, okay, we've been together for 10 years, engaged for 6 years.
I mean, I'm single.
But you
if I've been engaged to somebody for 6 years, I'm single. Okay, it's just it is what it
listen,
is.
they could go out and pretend they single. And
I mean, okay, so I'll share this. Hold on, let's see. Somebody said, "Hey, Julius Payne." They put your whole government on.
Yeah, don't do that, Robbie.
Destiny said,
"Oh, he don't know me as judo, so that's cool."
And yep. So, hold on, there was another comment. Oh yeah, that's a good question.
What if it's financial advice?
What is something that is good that I got from my birthday?
So I'm gonna share this before while G processes.
Yeah, because
So when I was married to my ex-husband, and I booked off to California, and then
hold on, you booked off to California.
You get
people still say that I'll be booking. All right, go ahead. That means
that
means moving fast, people. She was booking.
This is live.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's hilarious.
Anyway, so when I left and I went to California with all the circumstances that was going on in that particular marriage, I left with the mindset. And then you got to understand that I also felt like I couldn't get a divorce, biblically speaking. So when I left with a single mindset. So although I was still married, I was single while living in California. But I wasn't saved either. So don't be trying to judge me. I wasn't saved either. But as far as I was concerned, that marriage was over with and I couldn't get a divorce. So
okay,
put it that way. Just gonna put it that way.
Yeah, that's honestly that's about where I'm at. Like with the financial advice, like hypothetically, let's say I wanted to make like a big purchase without talking to Tia. Let's say I was out, I seen this car or something that I really wanted. I probably wouldn't go talk to my single friend that's not a financial advisor or something like that about whether or not I should make that purchase. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, in that sense, and that's why I say it's a thin line, because in that sense, a single person's mindset is going to be, I'm single. So yeah, so if it was me, I would get that car.
So, but you know what? That's all that can be true of the person married,
right,
seeking out the advice. Because I thought about it when you said the car. When it comes to expensive bags, I'm not going to somebody who's a financial expert if I'm trying to if I want somebody to agree, and
of course
I'm going to go to somebody that be like, girl, go ahead.
Yeah, no, of course.
Even as a married
person, pick and choose. Yeah. Because if I want that car and I just need one person to tell me, yeah, bro, get that car. It's cool. It's you know what I'm saying? Like then yeah, I'm gonna find that single person that's going to basically validate and coddle me and be like, yeah, I'm going to agree with everything you say. Would you take weight loss advice from an obese person? Yeah, because maybe they were skinny and then got obese. Like maybe they was obese, got skinny, and then got obese again. So I'll be like, how you lose it the first time?
You're as literal as your kids, though. I promise you.
I'm just saying though, like like sometimes I think that we're quick to disqualify somebody from giving sound advice or being able, and even if somebody gives advice or they're telling you something about a situation, you don't have to take all of the advice. But like, just because you're single doesn't mean you may not have something to offer to a conversation. In certain conversations, yes, of course, but in other conversations, because some things are universal to marriage, but then some things are just universal to
Okay.
relationships, in my opinion.
So, okay, since that's what we're talking about, would you, let's say you're like in your marriage, there's a struggle of the marriage bed. Are you seeking out a single person advice when it comes to that, based off of who the person is? Because maybe they wise. I mean, I don't.
Again, like you and Destiny said earlier, that's going to be discernment. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that was one of my other questions, is like how you got to be wise in determining like what somebody's motives are behind the advice that they're giving you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if, like, we always talk about misery loves company and stuff like that, or like your single friends who never seem to be able to keep a guy or a girl and won't ever be in a relationship, or
I
they're
mean, they
just,
probably got good advice.
they might have good advice,
I'm just
but at the
saying.
same time they might have bad advice. So like being able to be like, okay, they just, you know what I'm saying?
But see, but when I think about it this way too. So Destiny said she gave marital advice a couple times when she was single, but she felt like God gave her the wisdom to speak on
I ain't gonna ask you if them people divorced now, Destiny.
it.
No, I'm just playing.
Um, I think you're right when you say it's kind of a thin line in general. I think you the person who personally is, if I'm the married person seeking out some advice,
Mhm.
I feel like as the married person, then I need to be so in tune with God to go seek out this single person. And
Mhm.
only God could have given me the discernment to go to this single person, because something they're about to say is about to impact me while I'm struggling through marriage or whatever area in my
Mhm.
marriage I needed that advice from. Like, I don't think you can just, I've known this person forever and this person has always given like amazing advice,
Mhm.
and let me go talk to them about the situation I'm having in my marriage.
So basically, and we'll read Louis in a sec. Actually, we'll read that now. What qualifies any pastor? We can believe the same thing, but that's where it stops. Married pastors be having relationships with a lot of women. I'm only taking advice from a fat person. I'm trying to get fat. Hey man, chill out, bro. Chill out. But what was I about to say?
What I just said.
What did you say?
I said, as you're the married guy,
Mm-hmm.
like you have.
Oh,
to be,
okay, I got you.
yeah.
I got you. I got you. So I mean, I know you have to be so in tune, but like that's why I said earlier, like, where does that leave those people that go into that relationship and maybe they're not saved? You know what I'm saying? But okay, my best friend or my friend group
Mhm.
has a couple of single people in it, or several single people, and these have been the people by my side that I've always gone to for advice. Do they always give good advice? No. You know what I'm saying? But more often than not, they've given me sound advice. Do I simply cut them off from taking things to them or asking them questions simply because I'm married? Or is it like we said, you pick and choose, like, okay, I ain't about to talk to you about advice in the bedroom. But okay, I can talk to you if I feel like, okay, they spend money frivolously. They just spend money willy nilly, and I think it's hurting us. You know?
Okay, so you said this. So, are we talking about just specifically advice about
No,
that
we just
concerns your marriage?
yeah, like when you're married, stuff that concerns your
Okay,
marriage.
so what? Oh, okay, never mind.
Stuff that concerns your, because I mean, like I said, I mean, ain't no wife gonna get mad if her husband asks his best friend what sneakers to buy. I mean, unless she just controlling the sneakers.
That makes sense.
What it say?
She said she get a lot of feedback from single women after they read her blog on divorce. because they're saying it helped them in their current relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I feel like that qualifies.
Mm.
You know, I feel like somebody who's divorced
Can talk about marriage.
yeah, can talk about marriage. She's not giving them advice.
Mhm.
They're taking what it is that she's saying and applying it to their situation. So in that situation, I think, you know, it could be different. I would have a very, very hard time. And listen, unless God literally told me, I would have a very hard time going to single people, a man or a woman, seeking advice about my marriage. I would have a very hard time doing that.
Okay. I mean,
In my opinion.
I think part of that too, though, is when you get married, like you said, your circle most times does change. Maybe it wasn't marital advice. It was. Go ahead. Maybe it was woman to woman advice that didn't promote ending the marriage. Okay. But see, okay, so something like that.
Yeah,
Something,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is like you're a woman. You're in a marriage, but you're still a woman. So if you have questions as far as pertaining to being a woman, you know what I'm saying, in this marriage or whatever, like she said, it was woman to woman advice. So
And it just happened to help her.
yeah, you see what I'm saying? So that's why it's like I'm not necessarily saying like your target advice givers are going to be single people, but at the same time, I don't think that being single completely eliminates you from being able to give sound advice.
I mean, I don't think being single
to a married individual.
I mean,
It just,
I'm going to beg to differ.
I think it just depends on what it like the vein that you operate in. Like she said, if like somebody can come to you and ask you a specific question on advice about their marriage, you can turn it like she said and make it like as a woman. I'm not even talking about, you know what I'm saying, like your marriage. I'm talking about, I'm gonna talk to you from the aspect of I'm a woman, you're a woman. And that's why I said some stuff to me is universal when it comes to relationships, as opposed to being universal in regards to being married.
We got another one.
Absolutely not. Hello, Nate. Said absolutely not. Okay, and I'm sure a lot of people feel like that.
I mean, that's a hard one for me.
It is.
Like I have some, but then again, like I said, I don't have a whole bunch of single friends.
Right.
I have very few single friends that, like I'm gonna talk to. Honestly, I ain't talking to my single friends about my marriage. I just don't think that's something you should do. I don't even know.
That sums it up. All right, good night. That sums it up.
I mean, because I don't know.
Destiny.
How. Yes, thank you, Destiny. I don't know how else
to put it.
Yeah, I don't like. I can go to the single friend Ashanti. Like me and Ashanti have really good conversations, a lot. And we've talked about marriage, not me seeking advice from her, just having conversations. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if I'm struggling, I'm not no disrespect, Ashanti, but I would not go to Ashanti, even though me and her have amazing conversations, to talk about the struggles I'm having in my marriage. For one, I feel like sometimes, you know, that person may be looking at us as the example that, and not saying that they want to be like us or anything like that, but if as the married person, I'm coming to them, you know, complaining or, you know, just all talking about divorce and all of this type of stuff, what is that doing for that person that I went to who, you know, maybe their desire is to remarry, but then here I come, this married person that they've been looking up to like, oh, marriage goals. And now I just gave them a bad taste in their mouth. So that's why I would say I just don't think it's not a good idea for me. I'm gonna be that person that say it's not my liberty to go talk to a single person about my marriage. Okay, I'm gonna say it that way. Yes, I probably wouldn't go to a newlywed either. Like I
Nah.
wouldn't,
Yeah.
even though that person is married.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because you just never know what seeds are being planted for that person based off of our struggle in this right now moment. We're struggling, and I just need somebody to vent to,
Right.
and I chose the wrong person, not using discernment. I'm upset, I'm in my feelings.
I wanted to go get validation.
Yes, I want to go get validation, so I chose the wrong person. I just think you got to just be very careful, with doing that.
I think you shouldn't take advice from anyone outside your marriage but your spouse. No one is in your household but you two.
I get that ideal, but at the same time, it's like sometimes, like we talked about before, counseling is needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I can't say that even if it's not going to somebody single, I can't say that going to talk to somebody is a bad thing. You know what I mean? Or like getting advice from somebody outside of your, and not even maybe advice, but just counseling, just an ear. You know what I'm saying? Just a different perspective. Because essentially, like in the work that I do, I don't give anybody advice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I can also give you options, or I can also tell you like, okay, I can validate your feelings, and I can basically like have a conversation about it without giving you advice. So I think it's okay to have those conversations, and then whatever y'all work out is definitely going to be between you and your spouse. I don't think that if I go get advice, whether somebody's married or not, that I just 100-fold be like, that's what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that's necessarily it, but I definitely think it's okay to outside of your household with discernment and wisdom, find somebody, or you know what I'm saying, to talk to. Not too many people. We ain't telling y'all to put y'all business all over Facebook and be like, hey, Facebook counselors, help me out.
Wait. Shoot, the Facebook profit that people be clicking on all the time. Okay, so you want to shift to this next
Yeah.
So how do you determine, because and I was going to ask you, because you talked about it a little bit, just kind of talking about the seeds that we may be planting by asking somebody or bringing our problems to somebody and things like that. But how do you determine whether or not that individual's motives behind giving you advice are legit, or if they want to see you single or want to see that other person single? Like, how do you determine that? How do you, and I mean, of course we know you can pray and have discernment and wisdom and stuff like that, but for somebody who may not be saved, like what would you tell them?
So I'm the type of person that I have to I'm the type of person that I have to process most things. So this is a hard conversation, because most times when you're seeking advice, in my opinion, you're in your feelings about something.
Okay.
And so a lot of time, unless you're just smacked in the face with some good advice that you can't ignore, I think most people go talk to somebody that's about to validate how they feel. And I think that's where that first mistake comes in. I mean, we could go real spiritual and be like, oh, you better go to God and get on your face and pray and don't be talking to nobody. Like, we could. You ain't figured it out?
What? I'm just looking. I'm just reading, T. Just read.
We're gonna show some comments.
I was about to say, because I don't think you put them up there.
I didn't. They just came. What about only getting advice from same-sex outside of pastoral advice? Girl.
What do you mean only getting women's advice?
Yeah.
Or me on that's to me, that's naturally what we gravitate to. But at the same time, like, I think you always need, depending on the situation, that other perspective, so to speak.
So that's a bad idea.
What?
I'm not going to a guy as a married woman and seeking out advice when it comes to my marriage. Not doing it at all. I think that's just opening up the door for some nonsense to happen. In my opinion, I wouldn't do that. Like, and then I also feel like that's disrespectful to your spouse. If you like, as a woman, I'm not going to a guy to seek advice about my husband. Like, that's very disrespectful to me. Like, if you going to a woman to seek advice because, man, you having some problems, I'm going to have a problem with you. Like, I'm just
duly
saying.
noted.
Yes, duly noted, because I'm going to have a problem.
But that's where, like, because if we are, and we keep saying, if we are using wisdom and discernment, and we, you know what I mean, like, we really understand that, like, because I can go and need counseling or need help, and it could be from a woman pastor, you know what I'm saying, or you know what I mean, like, so I'm not saying, hey, Keisha from down the street, hey, why don't you tell me what you think about
because that's the reality of having this conversation. Because we can talk about it from the spiritual standpoint and say, okay, Tia, we got a male pastor, so when I'm struggling in my marriage, I feel comfortable enough to go to my male pastor but you got to trust that the person you're going to on the spiritual side is in a place with God to be able to use wisdom as well.
Right.
Now, that would be the only case where I would be like, oh, okay, I got some good advice. But outside of that, absolutely nope, I wouldn't do it.
All right, what these folks saying? So I
Nate
need both
said
perspectives.
facts. She needed
both perspectives.
Perspectives. And then I don't know why she said never mind.
Because she was talking about your comment about going to a guy about your husband.
Said it, both perspectives. It can be a relative. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying, like that, and that's what I'm saying. Like, please don't feel like I'm saying, like, oh, I'm having problems with Tia, oh, let me go talk to this my single friend. Like, I'm saying, like you said, if we know, okay, we had dinner or something, or, like, you know what I mean, like,
what you mean, like, if we had dinner with a group of people and somebody put out like a random question and everybody, so that's different. Like, I feel like that's a different circumstance than
one-on-one advice.
Yes, than me,
because one-on-one advice, that person probably like, they came to me.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then they're gonna be looking at you like, oh, he can't do this for you, ain't doing what you're supposed to do for your wife. And then I just feel like that's just opening up the door for,
So that's where the question about their motives come in.
Keisha might be on some trash behind her friend's back.
It's possible.
Exactly.
It's possible.
Having conversations with couples is great.
Oh, yes. Yep, Destiny. I actually like that idea.
Hey, man, you better chill, Louis.
Yeah, but no. If it was just that situation where, like, okay, so what if I had a male best friend? Because, like, literally before me and you seriously dated, I considered you my best friend. But I don't think I ever, even when I was married to the ex-husband,
nah, because I don't want to hear none. No, I'm just playing.
That's so rude.
I'm just playing. But no. I mean, but that's why I asked the question earlier. You know what I'm saying? Because there are people that feel like that's my best friend. And I mean, you know how people are. They was here before you, they're gonna be here after you, and all that different type of stuff. And, like, some people feel like I should be able to go talk to my best friend because, well, he ain't on that or she ain't on that. What?
Nothing.
I'm just telling you what some people probably feel.
So what does some people like Jew feel?
I don't have a girl best friend.
Well, but you have to have an opinion on it because you the one brought it up.
An opinion on what? Talking to your best friend?
That's a girl.
That's a girl? Me?
See, you do that on purpose. I can tell. All this roundabout talk that you're doing.
No, like, I mean, at the end of the day, it really comes down to understanding, like those motives, understanding, like, okay, if the y'all had a family that grew up around other people, had other people, you know what I'm saying, growing up in your house that weren't relatives.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like we grow up together. We're best friends, brothers and sisters because we grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
That's a family member to me. You know what I mean? So like that to me is different than, oh, this is my best friend. I just met them 2 years ago. Or, oh, this is my best friend because we used to mess around. You know,
You
like
know people had that conversation.
but-
That's what me and you used to say all the time.
well, we digress. but you understand what I'm saying? Like I think you did. I think the dynamics are different when it's certain types of situations like that. You know what I mean? Like, because if we've grown up together and we call ourselves best friends or brothers and sisters because we've been around each other for so many years and it's never become, hey, I'm trying to kiss you or nothing like that. And it's, you know what I'm saying, strictly platonic. Like being able to understand, like, okay, if I do go talk to my best friend in this situation, their motives behind it aren't to try and, oh, well, I can slide in and take his or her place.
Usurp authority or whatever.
I don't know.
Okay, so I get your point, but how is that going to look to someone from the outside looking at that situation? I think you have to take that into account because again, Joe Smo is looking at you as an example, but then he witnessed you out to brunch with your female best friend, even though in your eyes and possibly her eyes too, this is easy platonic, you know, I'm just venting and talking to my best friend because I need some great advice. But you literally have just ruined your witness with Joe Smo, who thinking like that is definitely not his wife. I'm just saying.
She's my girl. She's definitely my best friend. Everyone else fall in line or kick rocks.
What do you mean, like your girl, like your lady, your wife? Hey, I'm just telling you what people say, Louis.
I get your point, but I think because I always think like that. Like I always think in terms of, okay, perfect example. You know, we single, we in the church, and I'm dating, and it's midnight, and somebody driving down the street and see my car at midnight parked in your driveway in low lights. What they thinking?
And we either sleep or getting it in.
Exactly. Now, technically, we could really be in there with somebody who don't have a car. I ain't gonna even put another person in it. We could be in there having a prayer circle. I'm just playing, but you get the point. But whoever just witnessed that, they don't know what is really going on. But again, here it is: a witness has been, you know, perverted or ruined for that person. So, with me thinking that way, I'm just probably not going to a male seeking advice about my marriage unless, again, it's my spiritual leadership. Then I would. But outside of that, like I would now a blood relative brother. But okay, so my brother Romaine, he's a pastor. I've sought advice to him when I had questions. You know, I think that's okay when it's that type of relationship. But then again, I still think.
But again, you said blood, so if it ain't blood, it ain't happening.
It ain't happening unless that's my pastor. Yeah. Other than that, I wouldn't do it. Like I think.
Okay, so again, does that disqualify?
I don't think it disqualifies them.
I'm saying, does it disqualify a male counselor?
I would never go to a male counselor. I've never been to a male counselor.
Okay.
Like I would literally never.
For those reasons?
Not necessarily for those reasons, but for my, and maybe it just be stuff in my head. Like I don't want to tell you my business because you a dude.
So you could questioning the motives.
Very possible.
No, that's what it is.
I mean, they could be a phenomenal counselor.
No, I know,
They're
but
just
I'm saying like that.
Nope, I ain't gonna. They're just not for me.
I know, because they're male and you questioning their motives.
No, they just not for me.
questioning their motives.
They're just not for me.
So Ruben said if it's his girl, she's definitely his best friend. So obviously, like,
I'm your best friend.
yeah,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so I get what he's saying, but again, there's people that get in relationships and they're like, this is my best friend. Like, this is
Who do I typically seek advice from?
Huh?
Who do I typically seek advice from?
me. No.
Exactly. I know. I'm serious. I do.
Well, not when we going through it.
I mean, we talk.
I know, but you ain't seeking no advice. You
Oh.
I'm just saying you're not. I'm saying
No.
I'm saying your delivery is not that of someone seeking advice when we're going through it.
Yes, it is.
Seeking
So
advice-
in his
you seek, hold on,
opinion-
you seek advice from me when we going through it,
Oh yeah, probably not.
right?
But in your opinion, I'd be counseling you anyway. So
you definitely try sometimes.
I don't agree, but I mean, I'm here to support you in feeling that though.
Indeed.
Mhm. You got anything else you want to? What time is it? Oh, we still got 20 minutes.
Yeah, we got 20 minutes.
What's the
I guess
next
we
one?
already no, we already asked.
Can single people give sound advice? Is it possible?
I mean,
Can single people give sound advice to someone married? You looking away? I guess that's a no.
it's a no for me.
It's a no. Just absolutely no.
Yes.
And again, we're talking about.
I mean, I like Destiny's perspective, just women to women talking that happens to impact something that I'm
Mhm.
dealing with, and I could take that advice. But if I go to one of my single women friends and we just happen to be talking woman to woman stuff, in that conversation, I'm not going to necessarily, even if I'm listening to something that she's saying and I'm like, oh, that's something that I can apply. I'm still not going to have the conversation that lets her know something is going on in my marriage. Like, I'm not having that. Now, granted, like, in my first marriage, I wish I would have, been a little more forthcoming with things that was going on in my marriage. And wish I could have gotten somebody's advice to say, leave before it got so horrible.
Mhm.
So I guess, maybe situational. If you ain't safe, seek out some help. Put it that way. And I'll always stick to that. But if I'm not trying to leave you and, do all of that, I'm going to be very, very selective on who I'm seeking advice from. If we having a rough patch,
Mhm.
I'm going to be very, very selective.
Yeah, I
That's just not going to be everybody. But again, it's also not going to be a guy unless it's my pastor. It wouldn't be a male therapist. It wouldn't be anybody single.
Mhm.
Like that's one of those conversations that. So when I went through counseling the first time, and this ain't had nothing to do with me and you, that was a very personal thing for me, and I prayed about it.
Mhm.
Like, God, show me somebody that's going to be able to give me good wisdom, good advice that I can take it and apply. And I believe God did that. And it was a female. At the same time, I tell everybody all the time, I pray. I pray. I seek, wisdom. So for me, I think it's different because I'm going to be wisdom bound before I go talk to anybody about anything concerning my life in general. But it's a no for me. It's a no. He said, "Wild." I mean, because I don't want to tell no male my business.
His motives.
It's really not about the motives for me. I just don't think I would feel comfortable. It ain't got nothing to do with his motive. I personally feel like I wouldn't feel comfortable talking to a male therapist. I just wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. I would not feel comfortable. And that's me. You would feel comfortable. You don't feel comfortable talking to nobody in general. You don't talk.
Right. So this ain't about me.
You the one came up with the whole idea.
It
of this
is.
conversation.
It is. I'm just saying, like, because I know this is a question that people have, and I know there's differing ideas and different thought processes.
If me and you, the times that me and you have struggled in our marriage, who did you talk to? Nobody.
Yeah, about nobody.
Why not?
Maybe one or two people. Like maybe one of our married friends.
Was it
That
somebody that
going
gave
through
you sound
counseling or
advice?
whatever. Huh?
Was it somebody that gave you sound advice?
It
I
was
mean,
really-
I digress.
It is really just
at this
listening.
point.
They ain't really give no much advice.
Because it's hard to give advice to the advice giver. You're the advice giver.
Oh.
You give quite a few people advice.
Oh.
Well, I mean, unless you don't want to call it advice, you're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
It's hard to give people. It's the same difference between the strong friend phenom. If you always a strong friend, your friends you're always strong for have a very hard time reversing those roles, so to speak.
Mm.
What she say?
Not without your husband.
Well, she must be talking to a male counselor.
mhm.
Okay, so how come? I mean, T is not gonna answer, but Yolanda, how come? What?
Nothing. No.
Oh, what did Louis say? Did y'all go to marriage counseling before marriage?
Yeah,
Yes, we did.
yeah. With a male, I was there.
Shut up. What's wrong with you? Yes, we did.
And I think we went to a female as well. We have gone to a female as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we struggle and we gon' but most of the time it has been oh, that's a good point. But this is why I say I take everything into account. Like if it in that situation, if it had been me seeking out a male, like I take all of those type of things into account before I'm going to talk to people. I think of how that's going to look if I'm going out to lunch with my male therapist. I understand.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't be going out to lunch with the therapist.
Well, same difference.
I
You shouldn't be going out to
you.
lunch with your female best friend.
I'm just talking about in general. Therapists shouldn't be meeting you at lunch. They got an office.
I mean, sometimes they have lunch.
Oh, I don't
So-
know about no therapist and lunch. It's a new one to me. Okay, all right. So she's saying hidden lust. On the lady's behalf or on the counselor's behalf or the therapist's behalf.
It can honestly
Either one.
Yes, I think it could be either
Because of
one.
the situation. Because it's
I don't
stuff
necessarily
ain't going.
I don't necessarily even think it's that. It could just simply be okay. I mean, I tell people, all the time, I freely share my story and some of the things that I've dealt with. I was addicted to porn. So that although God may deliver you from some things, it's almost a guarantee that the devil's still about to try to tempt you in some areas. So if me and you are struggling in our marriage, I'm not seeking out a male therapist or a male in general to have that conversation, because who knows, I might just be and open the door for the devil to attack me in something that I didn't think I was going to have to deal with anymore. Just because I'm not being mindful of, my surroundings and just a whole bunch of other different stuff like that. For me, I think about those things, and that's why I wouldn't seek out a male advice when I'm dealing in my own marriage. I just don't think that's wisdom. I don't care who you are. I don't think it's wisdom to seek out the opposite sex when you're struggling in your marriage, unless, like I said, that's our pastor. So I would expect you to go to our pastor, just like you should have that comfort level in knowing my wife may seek out our pastor, but he's giving her the same biblical sound advice that he's going to give me. It's not going to be any difference. But just in general, absolutely not. Nope. Mm-mm. Oh, bias. See, it's all these different things that I don't think people really think about. Yep, he's saying flirty when my husband wasn't there.
Oh,
And you know
okay.
what? He probably was a whole lust bucket. Had a whole lusting spirit just trying to pull somebody's wife. That's terrible.
But that's why I asked about the motives and stuff like that, because for some people that would be the situation. Like you hear it all the time where people are like, well, even when people are dating and they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna talk to your best friend, she's single, she wants you to be single. or she want to take your place. You know what I mean? So like, think about people's motives in that way. That's why I asked about the counselor, because I mean, that is something that's realistic. It's something to think about. I'm not saying it's not but that's why I pose the question, because some people will feel like, hey, because they're a professional or they have this piece of paper, okay, that should be a safe space to go to and have these conversations. But again, as you can see, and like you said, it's not always the case. So there's so much that you have to take into consideration, you know what I'm saying, when you're seeking out counsel and when you're seeking out advice. Just understanding, like, and people are going to have their own reasons for different stuff. Okay, some people are going to be like, look, it don't matter. They got that piece of paper that say they graduated from Stanford, and that's enough for me to know they're a professional. And okay.
So in your opinion, then, would you say, I mean, you know, we believe, you know, you know, God is a part of our marriage. And so, I mean, in general, I guess my advice would be just get on your face and pray about who you about to go talk to. Like, I mean, I believe, you know, again, I believe God honors all marriages. So I believe that if you're struggling in your marriage and you're really praying, like, we not seeing eye to eye, but both of us is really seeking God, then I believe that God will give us wisdom on who we're about to choose to go sit and talk to.
Right.
You know, but you know, not everybody has that relationship with God where they can do that. I would just suggest you get that relationship with God and get on your face, because you never really know what, like, everybody want their marriage to last and thrive regardless of your relationship with God.
Right.
You know, so, but one of the best ways to do that is to have God a part of your relationship. And that way, when you are struggling and you are dealing with things, then I believe that if both people are praying and seeking God, like, for wisdom, I mean, I think God gonna tell you, you know, who to go to, you know, what marriage counselor, you know.
I didn't see hers.
Oh, I didn't see that one either. Yeah, that's true. Humans are humans. That is very true.
Yeah, definitely true.
Then he said, what?
Heard of biases in therapy. Yeah, this a big one. Like, you got to be so tuned in to God to really just know. Like, I mean, I'm gonna just pray. I'm gonna just keep praying. Like, I'm gonna keep praying. Like, I think, you know, with us praying, like, there's been some times where, you know, we each individually had to, you know, seek, you know, godly counsel. And there's been times that we've been sitting together seeking godly counsel when it comes to, you know, our marriage. And we both walked away with, you know, a good perspective and a different perspective versus where we're at right now. And that's why I think a lot of times, you know, when if we're not seeking professional, and this is not vetting whoever we going to, but if we're seeking advice, it's typically we're in the moment of our feelings, going to seek advice, something that I've been stewing about, something that's been bothering me. I'm in the moment of my feelings, and I'm going to seek the very first person that's going to validate all of that. Unless you got those friends that is just going to tell you like it is and tell you you're wrong. Most of the time, I'm going to find the person that's about to validate how it is that I'm feeling. And then therein again, you can open up a door that should have never been opened because you and your feelings. You know, so that's why I said I do a lot of processing before I talk to anybody. And sometimes I don't go talk to nobody because I just be like, Tia, you just a mess right now. Get it together. And then I'll keep it moving. Or you will find those are the times where I'll be like, you know what, I'm sorry. I'll be the one to apologize. Like, I had a conversation about how people should apologize, and then you apologize. Like, I'm sorry. He missed it. But I felt like I was going to put you out there because you had put me out there earlier. But it's okay, though. You missed it. It's all right. You still missed it. Like,
trying to hate.
Like, you literally, your face looks like, I have no idea what she's talking about right now.
Because you're trying to hate
I was basically, but you know I was trying to hate on you?
You was.
What was I trying to hate on?
I don't know. It sounded like hate.
I was basically saying I apologize first with no prompting.
All right, we got 5 minutes left.
Oh, do we? Let me see.
Yeah, so we about to wind down.
Yeah.
Do you have any closing remarks?
I don't have any closing remarks except truly seek God for your marriage. I think if both parties are seeking God, I think y'all be all right.
Is that a wave? Hello, Tierra Dingle.
You know, I already showed it.
Definitely good friends, Tierra Dingle.
Oh, you did? Sorry, she already showed.
I
us.
mean, me and Tierra talk a lot of times too, but she is married.
She is married to Willie Dingle. Good evening, Willie Dingle.
Putting their business out there.
Hold on. Her last name's Dingle. Everyone knows she's married to Willie Dingle.
Okay, you had some last closing remarks?
Last closing remarks, good people. This was a really good conversation. Thanks everybody who shared their thoughts, asked questions.
To women apologize.
That's good.
That is not
The next topic. It might be. Tia might want to talk about that.
I really feel like I'm about to actually have you come up with
The next topic too?
Yep.
Oh, how? I came up with this one. It's
so,
cool. I got y'all next week too. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should come up with the topics because me and you had this conversation, and I was like, I do all the talking.
4 minutes.
I was like, I do all the talking, and I feel like you should start talking. So
Had me watch a whole podcast to see some dude talking.
shut up. Like, why are you
Oh,
talking
sorry.
about
Go
this?
ahead. Go ahead. Because you did.
That's not why I did that.
You know why I had you watch this? Why? Look how he was talking.
I was just playing about that though. I mean,
11
kinda,
o'clock
a
at
little
night.
bit. It was not. Was it?
Yeah, it was late.
We're gonna watch the other one tonight.
Not at 11.
I mean, it's a reason why.
All right.
it's
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
You
I
go
thought
ahead.
you were saying something.
I wasn't.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
But no, thanks everybody. But no, like we said, it's really about
She laughing at you.
it's really about processing, praying, discernment, wisdom, using all that before you go get any advice, really.
Do you think you give good advice?
Do I think I give good advice? I do think I give good advice.
Would you give a married person advice? And I don't mean good advice, but would you feel comfortable giving a married person advice?
No, not give. I like that's the thing. Like, because I teeter on giving advice. You know what I'm saying? Like telling you what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm more so like, hey, look at all your options. You know what I'm saying? Look at everything.
Mm.
So like, is this like we talk about a deal breaker, or is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this really what you feeling, or is it just you and your feelings? Well, you was talking today, so it worked.
It worked.
Oh my goodness.
It did.
You go, Shanti. You back on your trash.
How many people are surprised that Jew talks this much with sound good stuff? Probably everyone watching, except people you play basketball with.
Ha! They probably more surprised.
Okay, go ahead.
I forgot what I was saying. But no, just take your time and be wise
Oh yeah,
and
you really did
seeking
forget what
counsel.
you were saying.
Yeah, I did. Because I wasn't saying none of that, was it?
No, no. I asked you, would you feel comfortable giving?
Giving a married person advice?
You would show. You would laugh all the way.
No, I wouldn't. So like that's what I said. I don't really necessarily think. I don't think I do advice. I think I kind of
What
just
do you call it?
we just talk. We just kind of talk in like perspective, I guess,
Okay.
more so than advice. Because I think advice is like, yeah, leave them. You know what I'm saying? Like advice is like telling you what to do.
Most quiet people really do. I mean, I'm very quiet, and I think I have a lot of wisdom. Thank you for saying that, Ashanti. This had nothing to do with me whatsoever, but I'm going to take that. She was talking about you, though. I digress at this point. All right, go ahead.
All right, just in closing, like I said, I think I offer perspective more so than give advice. Because ultimately,
Would you
like
give perspective to a married person?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
but because ultimately when you give advice, your level of responsibility in how things go after that is raised to a point where it doesn't need to be, or it
That's
shouldn't
really
be.
good.
You know what I'm saying? When it's not.
Like that's really good.
All right. So
That's really good. Okay, I'm just messing
All right,
with you,
thank
but that was really good. You don't think that was good? What you just said?
I don't know.
All right, I'm telling you.
All right. Hey, you silly. Man. Y'all see this? Y'all see I should be on my back. Just be on me. All right, but
It was good though.
thank you, dear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But again, in closing, I would just say, be selective, and just understand, like, just even with our conversation, like you said, to you it would be disrespectful for me to go seek advice from a female. You know what I'm saying? So just that another conversation that when you get married or you're dating somebody, probably never have. You know what I'm saying? Like until something like this come up. But just be mindful. And like she said, like Tia said, just keep everything in perspective and look at every single detail of it. Like she said, how other people might look at it or how people view you and stuff like that. So I know a lot of times people are like, I don't care what people think. Yeah, you do. You're lying. Right.
I mean, that was amazing advice right there. I mean, you just put it out there.
Yeah, because you are. Because every day you live life, you care what people think.
So people lying when they say that?
If they don't care what people think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, to an extent.
That's perspective.
Yeah.
Right
Obviously,
there.
at certain times, yeah, you're like, I don't care what people think. But
Do you care what people think?
sometimes.
You're lying.
I just said sometimes.
Okay, but
It just depends on the situation.
okay.
What you think I never care what people think?
No, I don't think that at all. I just wanted to say you were lying because you said people were lying.
So silly with that. All right, but thanks y'all for tuning in. We are a minute past 10 o'clock, and y'all know how I don't like to be past 10 o'clock because we want to be punctual.
He owned it.
Yeah, I did. We want to be punctual. Appreciate y'all. We see y'all next week. I'll have another topic since Tia want to be player hating.
He will have the topic.
It ain't
for-
player hating now. It's hating.
I know because
Gotta
you
take the player stuff off. It's hating now. It ain't player hating.
Yeah, because remember I said something. And okay. So y'all have a good night. Until Jew comes up with our next topic for next week. Pain Reality is his show. I just ended up doing all the talking.
Ha!
But he came up with Pain Reality because guess what? You're the head of the household, right?
I am.
I know. See? There you go. Bye-bye.
All right. Is this where I gotta be still?
You ruined it because I already put the things for watching on. Something wrong with you, my guy. I tell you. No,